Hi everyone, we're here to do a bloom. It's starting to warm up out here in North Carolina, so my resin is warming faster and I'm anticipating flowers coming out and I'm getting excited. So I wanted to try to make something like a peony. Carnation-y, lots of petals, something that'll look cool. So I mixed up 5 ounces of craft resin. It's a 1-to-1 low viscosity resin. Really low, super low bubbles, but you do have to wait for it to warm up a little bit to thicken it a little for blooms. It's at almost 31 degrees Celsius now, so it's probably a good time to start. I'm going to start with 1 ounce in my cup for my white. Make sure I put enough. I'm always afraid I'm not going to have enough white. I'm going to take the rest of the resin, pour it in my mold, but I just want a thin layer at the bottom of the mold. So I'm not going to go crazy and just dump it in. I'm going to let it move a little on its own. I might have a tiny bit extra I can do, maybe some puffy hearts or something. Let me just see how this looks. I am, like I said, trying to get just a thin layer at the bottom of the mold. I find if you have too much resin, sometimes that lends to blobbies, or the white drops to the bottom. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and mix up our white. I am using CastinCraft Opaque Pigment Concentrate. It's a really easy, non-fussy white to use for blooms. I feel like if you have your temperature warmed up, if you have everything in your mold, if you let your alcohol ink sit so that the alcohol sort of dissipates, you are pretty much going to have a bloom. All right, so usually for an ounce, I do about 5 or 6 drops. I put a little more than an ounce, so I'm probably going to go 7. Then I'll take a look at it. My CastinCraft bottles, I don't know why. Last time I ended up breaking my bottle so it would pour out faster. Well, I may end up having to do that with this one because I am squeezing it like a weightlifter, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's trying to get it to come out of the bottle. So I might just need to do something to it to get it to come out faster. All right. So that looks pretty good. All right, so now I'm gonna look at my alcohol inks. I am using Ranger inks. They're one of my favorite inks to use. They tend to last longer, the colors. That's why I use them. All right, so I have salmon, pink sherbet, and cosmopolitan, because like I said, I am trying to make a flowery sort of thing. So I'm gonna use these colors. Sorry, I had to reach for a toothpick real quick because I do see a little bubble. You know, sometimes the alcohol inks will help release the bubbles too. Just want to move that guy to the top a little. He's like, okay, move me all around here. There we go. He didn't want to come out. All right. So I'm going to start with the salmon in the center. Is that how you guys say it? Salmon, salmon. I think it's salmon. All right. And now my pink sherbet. Sometimes the lids don't want to come off of these, and sometimes you get little crusty buildups. If that happens, wipe them off with your baby wipe or open them to the side so you don't get crusties in your work. I'm going to leave that lid off of that, and I'm going to shake up my cosmopolitan. I'm going to go out just a little further, but a good amount of drops. All right. Just debating what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to take actually the salmon and pop another drop in the middle. And then I might just do, not quite as many, but a few of these around the edge again, just to kind of give the flower a little dimension, a little color. These are really pale colors, so it's going to be light, and I know that. But I do think it will look really cool when it's done. All right. So let's, that really is light, isn't it? So I like the Cosmopolitan. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around. Now, you have to be careful. I'm going in and adding all these little dots and overbuilding it. Don't add too much. Your resin won't cure, right? So I'm going to set them aside now, and this is what it's going to be. I'm going to put my white, while this is setting, in my piping bag. I do use 6-ounce cups because I find that they're easier to use. I could use them for more things. 8-inch piping bags. I am going to try to do a really small hole for the design that I'm doing. Sometimes I don't do any hole, just snip the plastic. All right, so this looks okay. Sometimes I cut the end off too, because sometimes it's hard to hold in my hand right. So I'm going to start in the center. And I'm going to go out a little further because my plan is to go in and put a line in between. I feel like that gives me the most petals. It's thick, so it doesn't want to come out. While I'm drawing that out, let me grab some of these blobbies that I had. Pull them out. All right. Back. I'm having to squeeze the bag a little more is what causes the issue because it's so thick, but that's good. It's the pick up and start again that can cause some issues. I'm just doing these lines to sort of help have an even edge around. Have you ever drawn a bloom and then it's like, seems like it's all on one side? All right, so we have that. We're going to go back in again. And this time it's a little easier because we have some sort of path. See, I keep squeezing because it's so thick. All right, you just want to try to avoid blobbies, which sometimes is easier said than done. All right, now put that back in my cup and let it sit while I check for possible areas where we could have a little bit of a blob. And I'm just going to take and pull. And remember, anytime you pull your white, it is going to thin and may get blurry. So you just want to use caution anytime you're playing with your white when you're done with it. That's why you'll find that I don't play with my centers too often. I do a quick swirl pass and then I leave them alone, and that's because I hate blobbies. I am doing a little swirl in there, but I do plan on putting a center. And I have, if you guys watch my videos, I have plastic little things with, or silicone things with bits and bobs in them. And today I've got a bunch of them from Laura's Art Corner, some rose gold glass bits, some rose ones, and then some iridescent beads. Just a bunch of little fun things in here. So now I'm going to find what I did with my little scoop, which was right here. All right. So I'm going to stand up to do this. And I actually added a little more than I normally would do. Don't mind my plastic chair. I do want the center to be kind of big. I see a little blob here. Let's try to pull that out. Maybe here, try to pull that some way. What do you think? We got the rest of them? This side isn't as wavy as the other side. Can I do anything to fix that? Probably not. We'll let it cure and do its own thing. So we'll be back to back this. All right, we're back. I've mixed 4 ounces of resin. I found this primrose color, which should be really pretty. Should match what we're doing. Hopefully we'll make it look like a gigantic flower. And then from Just Resin, I got Boxing Day Mulberry Sparkle because I want to give it something more. All right, let's see. Let's do our Mulberry Sparkle. I'm going to do a pretty good bit of it. Lid back on it so I don't blow it and spray it all over. All right, now our Mulberry Sparkle. I'm going to grab a pretty good bit of this. I do want it to darken up. I'm afraid if it's too light, you won't see the bloom. It's always a balancing act with backs. Let's see what works right. I'm going to give this a good mix. Hopefully we found something that will work really well. If it doesn't give me the color that I want, I may add some of our alcohol inks in it, but actually I do think it's kind of a cool contrasting color. So I think we're just gonna go with it. I think it looks pretty good. Let's make sure we scrape the sides into there. Don't want any uncured resin. All right. I'm just gonna pour it on in. All right. Now at this point you could use your heat gun, your torch, your alcohol spray to help get the bubbles out of it. I'm just gonna give it a quick torch. And then we're just gonna let it do its thing and we'll be back to unmold it. All right, it's time to check this out, see how it came out, see if it looks like a flower. Oh, wow. That is just gorgeous. Look at it. Beautiful.